Hey, friends, I'm Otis Gibbs. My buddy Kenny Vaughan is about to tell you a great Billy Joe Shaver story.
God, I love Billy Joe. He was one of the nicest cats I've ever worked with or known. He was just like a wonderful person. I love Billy Joe. I worked with him on a couple of records. Well, I worked on one with Eddie and Billy, both. I think Ray Kennedy was doing that one at Ray's studio when it was over on Music Row. And it was just great. It was like walk into the studio and we knock out songs and go have something to eat, come back and do another session and knock some more out. And it was only a couple of days, but we did a whole record. I think it was called The Earth Rolls On, or maybe that was after Eddie died. I did one with Eddie and then one after Eddie died. I can't remember which one was what, but anyway, Eddie was great, always a nice guy. I met Eddie when he was about 15. He was playing with Billy Joe. I was still living in Denver, and every morning I wake up and read the Denver Post, and look in the entertainment section, see what was going on. If any of my friends were playing in any bars, they had this extensive music listings back in those days, and I was looking, there was this Fern bar out on Aurora on the way to the airport in the middle of nowhere. And I was like, it says Billy Joe Shaver is playing at this place, it was in a strip mall. It's like a Fern bar in a strip mall back in the early 80s. It was like a 70s kind of vibe place, I'm like, this can't be Billy Joe Shaver, and but it had to be, Billy Joe Shaver. So I called my friend up and said, man, we got to go out to this bar, and there's this guy that I'm a big fan of his music. He wrote all the songs on Honky Tonk Heroes, and he's really kind of an icon. And so we went out there, and there's this band setting up over in the corner, of the Fern bar, and there's about 20 people there, and there's about 5 or 6 people that are actually there to see Billy Joe Shaver, and so I went up and talked to him, talked to Billy Joe, talked to him. This is my son Eddie. And Eddie's like 15. He didn't look anything like he looked when he grew up. He's a skinny 15-year-old, playing a 335 Gibson. And they played, and they were great. And there was maybe less than 10 people there to see them. And then there was about 20 other regulars at the bar sitting there, and occasionally they'd look over their shoulder like, what is it? And then just go back to watching the game on TV or whatever was going on, in this Fern bar. And with the plants hanging and planters everywhere, and it's like, whoa. And then me and my friend, we were the only like sort of punk rock hippie, leather jackets and tennis shoe jeans guys, But Billy Joe was great, and he was friendly, and they were touring around, and that was just a pickup gig they scored. I was like, well, welcome to the music business. There it is right there. The guy's an icon in my world, and he plays Denver, and there's less than 20 people that have come to see him. Well, he's a really sweet guy. He wore his heart on his sleeve, and he was really honest to a fault. He was never bullshit anybody probably in his entire life, unless it was something he had to do but if he might have consciously, I got to bullshit this guy, maybe something like that. But in reality, he was really honest and really down to earth, always friendly, always open and warm, and just a fantastic person. And what a great songwriter. I mean, and that was why he was such a good songwriter, is because he was so honest. He knew how to cut through the bullshit and write what really is going on, He knew how to cut right down to it. I don't know, I think all Billy's songs came from a thing that he actually experienced. Unlike a lot of writers I know that have to, well, what can I write about today? How about we do this, Billy Joe never did that. He never sat down to, I got to write a song. I think the songs had to be written, his songs were real, and they had to, they were there, and he just had to put them down, had to give birth to them or whatever, but they're real. And that's why they're so good, and he was real. And my friend Jimmy Lester played drums with him back in the 80s for quite a while. And Jimmy grew up in Nashville. He still lives here. And he, those guys were living in Texas, and Jimmy would meet him, sometimes. And he said one day, this is before cell phones, it's in the 80s, and he's sitting at his home in Nashville, and the phone rings at like 10 in the morning or whatever. And he said, hey, we're down in Memphis. We're going to do this thing down here. Can you come down? And Jimmy's like, sure, when is it? He said, now? He said, okay. And so he said, I got to put my drums in the truck, and I got to, put some clothes on, put the drums in the truck, and I'll be down there. Here, let us give you the address here. And then so Billy gives him the address, and Jimmy gets in his truck with his drums and drives to Memphis. It's a 3-hour drive, 3 hours, plus a few minutes. And so he gets down there, and he pulls up to the address, and he looks, and there's Billy's car, his station wagon or whatever I think it was. And there sit Billy and Eddie in the car, and there's a phone booth right there. And Jimmy goes up to him, and they, they're sitting there with the windows down, and he said both of their faces were beet red, like as red as this shirt. So just like redder than anything you've ever seen in your life. And he was like, it's like in the afternoon, like 3 in the afternoon or something, and he's like, looks at the car, looks at them. You guys are really red. What's going on? He said, oh, Brenda gave us some suntan pills. And he looks at the phone, but he says, is that the phone that you called me from? And I said, yeah. He said, you guys have been sitting here ever since you called me. And I said, yeah. Follow us. So he got in his truck, and he followed him to some thing, where a recording studio or something, where I don't remember what they were doing, but.
What in the hell is a suntan pill?
I don't know. And Jimmy said that he said it was redder than any tomato you've ever seen in your life. They were just bright red. He said it was, you couldn't help but mention it, because it was like, what have you done? I guess they OD'd, took too many, in Shaver fashion. And the last time I saw him was, it was, I don't know when that was. He remember he had that incident in Waco, and he had this, Kenny, I got this song. Can you come over tomorrow afternoon, Saturday afternoon? We're going to cut this thing. Can you play on it? And I said, sure, man. He said, it's called Wacko from Waco. And I said, I'll come over and play on it, Billy. So I get there, and it was Richie Albright on drums, and B. Spears on bass, and I can't remember who else was there. That guy that used to play in Waylon's band and sing harmony with him, Ricky, somebody. He's a famous guy in Nashville, playing acoustic, and I think Mickey Raphael was there. He's on the record, but I think he was there that day. And Willie sings the second verse, but he wasn't there. We're going to leave that verse open for Willie, Okay. But anyway, it was a great song. It was like Billy Joe's account of what happened in Waco when he shot that guy, and he said, I got to set the record straight. I wrote the song. This is what really happened, and it's from his point of view, why he had to end up shooting the guy, And like, God, really, only you would get yourself into this situation, But it was a good song, I had a great time recording. And so I was leaving after, I was loading my stuff out, through the lobby there at the House of Blues recording studio in Nashville, and Billy Joe says, "Are you leaving, man?" I said, "Yeah, man, that's really been fun." He said, "Wait a minute, man, I got something I want you. I wrote a book. I got a book for you, man. It's out in my car." And I said, "You wrote a book?" And he said, "Yeah, you know." And so he goes out and he's got a box in his trunk, and he gives me a book, and he signs it to me and gives it to me, you know. And I said, "Thanks, man." You know, he said, "Yeah, man." He said, "It ain't nothing. It's just a little old book I wrote, you know." And so a friend of mine had written a book that he'd worked on for years, and I'd been reading my friend's book, you know. And so I got home. It was like a Saturday evening. I was kind of tired because I had a long week. And so, you know, I went upstairs and sat in my bed, and I looked at Billy's Joe, and I cracked it open, you know, thinking, read the foreword or whatever. And I read the whole fucking book. Like, it was like 3 a.m. when I got done, you know. It was like, I sat there and I was just like, this is the best book I've ever read. This is like unbelievable, you know. I mean, it's so well written, and it's so good, you know. And I could read it again 5 times over. I'm like, man, what a book, you know, Billy Joe. Most writers spend their whole life trying to write a book that good. And Billy Joe knocked it out because he felt like, well, maybe I ought to. Yeah, I want to write a book. Oh, yeah.
If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more like it, subscribe to my channel and tell me what your favorite Billy Joe Shaver song is down in the comments, and I'll see you somewhere down the road. Much love to you.